Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Those country roads. Yeah, one of the best songs that's intertwined with the university of all time. I must say, even Rocky Top has to bow down to country roads. Just like West Virginia people need to start believing in their programming in themselves, because they're almost there. They just need that one break. They just need a few things to fall in place and to start believing in themselves and their university, and not thinking that they're lesser than anybody out there. Let's talk about it. How's it going out there today, boys and girls in sporting land? This is JPC. I am the OCF. That is the outlaw of college football. And this is, without a shadow of a doubt, the home of the common Joe and the common side. And no, even more so than all those media talking heads. Do it twice. That's right. They always like it when I do it twice. It really pisses them off. Now, getting right to it. I want to talk about the West Virginia Mountaineers. It's a program that's been on the cusp to me for quite some time. I've discussed this before in one of my previous podcasts last year under J&J Outlaw, but it's still percolating in my mind that for some reason West Virginia's always been on the cusp, and they've always been pushed aside, it seems. You know, they've had... One of the main problems is they've had issues with conferences and all that good stuff. Because, you know, back in the day, way back in the day, I think they were considered a part of the Eastern Independence back in the late 70s, early 80s. And their chief rival was Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a big city, real big city compared to West Virginia. So what you really had, in a lot of people's estimation, was the big city folks versus the country folks down in West Virginia. And I think that that's always played on West Virginia's psyche, that the big city folks in the states of Pennsylvania and Ohio, surrounding states, have always looked down on West Virginia people like they're just not good enough. And they've taken that to heart, but they try to act like that's their battle cry, when in fact I think it's played into their psyche a little bit. But West Virginia football and basketball both probably should have won a national championship a long time ago. They just need a few things to fall in place. And a lot of people point to certain things that are hindrances, supposedly, that I think are actually positives in West Virginia's favor. Like, for example, geographical location. They're like sandwiched between the Big Ten, the ACC, and the SEC, yet they're in the Big 12. But that, to me, I think it worked to their advantage if they used it. They could sell that and say, hey, look, come be different. Come make your own way. Instead of, you know, staying in those bigger, grimier cities in Ohio like Cincinnati and Cleveland and Columbus, and the grimy cities in Pennsylvania, from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh. Come on down to West Virginia and make your own way. Make your own way. Get away from the hustle and bustle of the big cities up there and come down here in a family atmosphere, in a real college town, because Pittsburgh's not a real college town. Come on, man. Okay? You can't sell me on Pittsburgh, man. I like Pittsburgh people. I got some Pittsburgh fans that own here. But that city just, you can't sell that as a college town. And while Ohio State's had a lot of success, Columbus has become a bigger city over the years, somewhat in the mold of Cleveland and Philadelphia and whatnot, which is, to me, not a good thing. So, you know, although Columbus is still somewhat of a college town, it don't have that country feel. They don't have that that family type atmosphere. And a lot of people point to that as well with West Virginia. Well, look at West Virginia. They don't have big cities. They don't have humongous cities. They got a few large cities, but no big cities, no enormous cities. Well, neither does the state of Alabama. It hasn't stopped Alabama from winning national championships. Yeah, we got the cities of Birmingham and Huntsville. But the University of Alabama is not located in those cities, as is Clemson. Clemson, in a moderately small state, has one or two big cities, but not nothing ginormous, like a Philadelphia or a Cleveland or Detroit or anything like that. So it can be done, and it can be used to your advantage, but you got to want to use it to your advantage. And you got to start believing. And those rich alumni out there, I'm not sure who they are, but the rich alumni out there that are West Virginia alumni, you need to dig deeper in your pockets and back this program up, because I think that it's just going to take that one national championship in either sport, the two big money-making sports, basketball and football. Just one is going to open the floodgates, in my opinion. I mean, just look at the Clemson Tigers. I like to compare West Virginia and Clemson a lot because they remind me of each other a lot. The only difference is Clemson's won 3 national championships and West Virginia has not. But Clemson went a long time without winning a national championship. Their one long national championship in 1981 under Danny Ford. Fast forward to now. They finally won one. They finally started believing in themselves. They got a good, down-home, country-type coach, a guy that believed in what he believed in and stood by what he believed in, that being Dabo Swinney, in my opinion. Once they won that one national championship over Alabama, it made it easier for them to win another one, because at that point they knew, they believed, they knew that they belonged. And that's all it's going to take for West Virginia, is to win that one national championship. But the only thing I see that has hindered them is conference affiliation. They've had issues with conferences, like I said, from back in the 80s when they were an Eastern Independent into the Big East. The Big East dissolved, and then they got stuck in the Big 12 because the Big 12 has been on and off life support system a couple of times. And that is the only thing I think is hindering them, is to get in a conference, get stability. Once that stability is there for at least a good 20 years for a conference, because while the Big 12 has been around I think they've been around over 20 years, they've been on and off again as to possibly folding completely as a conference, and that doesn't do well in recruiting. So West Virginia needs to go ahead and decide. Their alumni, their richer alumni, the ones that can actually make a difference, they need to decide, do we want to stay in the Big 12, or do we want to keep him hawing around and whining about how we want to be in the ACC? You need to go ahead and just make a decision and stick with it, because the stability is what you need, and it's what the entire Big 12 needs, to be honest with you. Or these programs are going to go by the wayside, and they're going to get pushed down into these lower tier conferences like the Mountain West or the Sun Belt or the Conference USA or some other crap. So, in the end, in conclusion here, West Virginia's motto should just be, West Virginia, come on down. Take a look around, because you can make your own way here. You can be your own man or woman. You can be your own person and make your own way, and not make somebody else's way and stick with the status quo and all the thoughts and norms that you've learned in the past, that West Virginia is just too small. They just can't compete because of the geographical location. All that's bullshit. That's just stuff that people tell you to keep you down. Those northern states that think they're so much better than everybody else. And those southern states, those SEC schools that think that you're not good enough. You can't let that work in your psyche. You got to use it to your advantage. And use that motto that I just said, West Virginia. Come be your own man. Come be your own woman. Make your own way. West Virginia football today. That's right. Or basketball today. Country roads, roll tide. Boomer sooner, Hook 'em horns, go Big Blue, fight on, Gator Chomp. And with that, KMCA to all the other teams.